Today we're looking at the top trending items at AMain Hobbies over the past summer, according to what people are looking at the most. And we'll go through the top 10 non-car items first, so anything but cars, then the top 10 kits, and then we'll finish it with the most popular, the top 10 ready-to-runs. To start us off is the P8 hauler bag, sized for 8 scale use and smaller, and it's a great way to store your gear, keep it organized, and get it to the track. It's also one of the least expensive hauler bags of this size at about $210, making it a no-brainer for a summer of racing. The XR10 Just Stock G3 is another racer item for a solid and inexpensive solution to 13.5 turn racing at about $110, and it features 0-degree timing for spec racing classes. This combo is also available with different motor turns for faster or slower needs, but that 13.5 turn is the most popular. The BatSafe LiPo charging case is next, and this box is made for charging and storing LiPo batteries. There is an XL version that has an even bigger capacity, but it's twice the price and it didn't make this list. The standard BatSafe costs about $80 and it's well worth it for anyone dealing with LiPo batteries. The number 7 spot belongs to the only servo to make this list. It's the 170 SBL Black Label ProTech Servo. This race grade servo is high voltage with an all aluminum case, and it puts out some impressive specs, well suited for rough racing demands, but it's not cheap at $160. Next up is a tool set, but not just any tool set, it's the SL Superlight Metric Hex Drivers with the straight tip, because there's a ball tip set too, and an SAE standard set, and an SAE ball tip set as well, but those didn't even come close to tipping the scales. Only these at about $50 for the set, including the case. Next is one of the fanciest surface transmitters you can buy. It's the Sanwa M17. Last year when we made this video, it was the 10PX from Futaba that everyone was looking at, but I guess times have changed. The M17 is cheaper than the 10PX, but is it better? Well, that's up to you guys. The M17 costs $600. Junsi iChargers are some of the most popular chargers for hardcore RC racers, and the 456 Duo DC battery charger is no exception. With a massive 70 amps and 2200 watt capabilities, this is one serious piece of equipment, and it better be, because it's $330 and it still requires a power supply. Number 3 goes out to the most checked out censored basher electronics, the Easy Run Max 10 G2 systems, and specifically the 140 amp ESC version, which are brushless and censored for about $175 with a few motor speeds to choose from. But if you get the 2400 kV motor combo, it's 4S LiPo compatible. The 80 amp ESC version of the Max 10 is also great for 2 and 3 cell LiPo needs, and it's cheaper and worth a mention. One of the biggest trends this year has been the call to safety, because the second most checked out non-car item is this FireSense Plus handheld fire suppression system, which for only $35 is pretty cheap insurance in the event of a nightmare comes to life. And it's definitely something a lot of people have been checking out and buying. Now, the number 1 non-car item was a big surprise to me, and maybe you too. It's the Pro version of the Quick Run Fusion 2-in-1 ESC motor systems for rock crawlers. These units are lightweight, they're waterproof, and they deliver ultra smooth power for $150. There's also the SE version for only $80, and it also gets a lot of attention. Now, the first kit to make our list is the Techno EB48 2.1 8-scale electric buggy, which is always a fan favorite. When we did our 8-scale comparison videos on our second YouTube channel, it had one of the lightest and slimmest chassis out of all of them, and it was one of the most balanced to drive out of the box with the stock setup. Now, if you had a proper setup for your track and the right tires, this car is going to be hard to beat. It is a kit and it requires a lot of items for $699. Next is a 10-scale stadium truck known as the T6.2, which is not the latest version of this stadium truck classic, but it's been on sale, most likely boosting the eyeballs on it. Two-wheel drive stadium truck was always a fun racing class, and it was the first class that I ever raced with my original RC10 team truck, so it sits all warm and fuzzy in my RC soft spot. The T6.2 is $40 less than the latest T6.4, and it costs $350. Now the number 8th most looked at RC kit is not a race car at all. It's the VS410 Phoenix Rock Crawler Kit Promotion, meaning the kit includes a free machine transfer case gear set with the purchase of the truck. These Phoenix trucks are great, and we did a lot of crawling with the portal axle version and had nothing but fun. For the $390 price tag, I think it's worth it. The next kit was a huge surprise for me. It's the Traxxas / two-wheel drive short course truck kit. And a lot of people think Traxxas doesn't offer kits, but they do have a couple, and this is one pretty awesome package, considering you get the truck kit to build yourself, plus it includes the TQ transmitter, the XL 5-speed controller, a Titan motor, and a steering servo for $200. It's an awesome way to start out in the hobby and share the experience of kit building. Another crawler? Yep, the Axial SCX 10.3 is number 6, featuring the Jeep JL Wrangler body, portal axles, and the 2-speed tranny and dig functions if you want to set them up. The realistic Jeep body on this truck is really the highlight for me, plus the hidden body clips, the cool interior, and that driver figure for $350. The B6.4D is next, and it's the dirt version of the current B6.4 two-wheel drive race buggy, and it comes with updated 13mm big bore shocks, machine pistons, aluminum chassis, carbon shock towers, and a ball differential. All the parts between the dirt version and the carpet version are interchangeable too if you want to switch things up. The B6.4D kit costs $390. Now this is the least expensive kit on the list, and it's also the smallest. It's the Orlando Hunter Micro Crawler Kit with an F-150 pickup truck body. Now at only 1/35th scale, or about the size of your cell phone, this truck is tiny, and it'll be easier to build if you have small fingers, but at only $70 for the kit, it might be a worthy addition to your RC stable. We just talked about the dirt version of this car, but more people are looking at the carpet version. This is the B6.4 electric buggy kit, which is ideal for carpet, Astro, or any similar high bite surfaces. Just like the dirt version, this one also has the aluminum chassis, the carbon towers, the 13mm shocks, but the setup is different. It includes front and rear sway bars, and it includes an oil-filled gear differential, all for only $10 more at $400. The number 2 most checked out kit this past summer is the SCX 10 Pro from Axial, and it's designed to be a comp-ready crawler right out of the box and offers either servo on axle or chassis mounted, low and forward mounted motor placement, aluminum body oil-filled shocks, and an adjustable transmission. It costs $430, but considering how equipped it is, it's probably a lot cheaper than piecing together your own comp rig. Now for the number 1 most checked out kit this past summer, it goes to the 4-wheel drive racing buggy known as the B74.1D. Yeah, the .1, not the most recent .2, it's the previous model, and probably because it's almost $200 cheaper and still nearly every bit as good. And not everyone is ready to upgrade to 13mm big bore shocks, I get it. That's probably why these kits are still being sold, and sell they do. Shoot, I still have our B74.1 from our video series, and it's so great, I don't want to part with it. And for $350, it's one of the best race kits you can buy for a 4-wheel drive buggy. The .1 carpet version is available too for the same price, but it's the dirt version that gets more attention. Starting us off for the top ready-to-run cars is a monster truck most have probably heard of. It's the brushless Rival MT10 V2. Some people have claimed that this is the most durable basher money can buy, but it is 3S compatible, it has big old shocks, big tires, and a big old basher stance. It also has 3 gear differentials and waterproof electronics. For mashing over the surface and hitting some jumps, it definitely looks worthy to do it, and it's not that expensive at $340 ready to run. Number 9 goes to a monster truck that's 1 or 2 or 3 steps up, but it's not cheap. It's the super capable Traxxas Max Wide Max. It might cost about $570, but this thing is a true monster and delivers aggressive power and aggressive stance, a clipless body, and it's 4S LiPo compatible. It's perhaps one of the most brutal monster trucks you can buy below the mighty X-Max, which did not make this list by the way, and it costs a lot less too. For going fast in a straight line, on a budget, the DR10 ready to run in the number 8 spot is the car getting all the eyeballs. And it's the only drag car on this list, probably because it's a $200 ready to run, which is pretty ridiculous when you consider the chassis under the body and all the platforms you can make out of it. The electronics included with the DR10 are 3S compatible too, great for pretty much anything, and the car comes in a few different body colors and styles, but it's the purple body specifically that's getting all the attention. I hate to admit it, but this car might be trending for reasons we wish were different. This is Ken Block's Hoonicorn, and after he passed at the beginning of the year, there was a resurgence of interest in this car and the Hoona truck, but the Hoonicorn mostly. But it really is an awesomely recreated RC car with this phenomenal scale Hoonicorn body. You get the Hoonigan racing styling, and then all the details to resemble the real Hoonicorn. And for fans of the Hoonigan racing and Ken Block, it might be a pretty worthy item to have. R.I.P. Ken Block. Now in the number 6 spot, we're going back to crawling. This is the Enduro Gatekeeper 4x4, and it's a pretty unique crawler with a realistic caged body that hinges so it swings up to access the inside of the chassis. The Gatekeeper also uses a solid front axle, but uses a trailing arm rear suspension with integrated rear sway bar. This rear end comes with a lot of tuning possibilities, it looks really cool, and it pushes the wheelbase a little longer than your standard 10 scale crawler. It's also 3S LiPo compatible, and for only $270, it seems like a no-brainer. This truck was on the list of kits, and it's the only one to double up on the list of ready-to-runs. It's the VS410 Phoenix straight axle crawler truck, which in ready-to-run form is less than $500, and it includes a metal gear servo, 3S capable brushed electronics, and a 4-channel transmitter, leaving you room to configure the selectable dig and overdrive optionally. The ready-to-run trucks come in either red or gray painted bodies, but it's the red one that made this list. This next truck was released years ago, and honestly, it's the oldest truck in this ready-to-run list, but it still sits at the top, even after all these years. It's the Traxxas Unlimited Desert Racer in the Fox trim, and it's the closest thing to driving a real desert truck most of us will ever experience. It looks the part, it drives the part, and at $700, it's a fraction of the price of a real desert racer. Now, it's not for everyone, and it's definitely not perfect, but it's the best desert truck money can buy in RC form. Well, slide me sideways and camber me down. The number 3 most checked out RC this summer is the RMX 2.5 Drift Car. And honestly, all the body styles are high up on the list, but only the LP56 is in the top 10. Body styles aside though, the new RMX 2.5 platform has been heavily overhauled from the 2.0, and it gets a host of updates that were formerly the main upgrades, like moving the ESC back, moving the servo back, and using the shorty battery box as default. The thing that impresses me the most on the 2.5 is the price is the same as the 2.0 was. The bummer thing about the 2.5, they can't make them fast enough. This next RC was one of the most exciting releases this year, and it was one of the biggest things to happen in RC in a long time, and I'm shocked it's not number 1. But number 2 ain't bad. We're talking about the Losi Pro Moto MX dirt bike, and specifically the Green Pro Circuit ranked the highest, because there are 3 flavors of the Pro Moto, and they each include brushless electronics, the stabilizing flywheel, 3 different riding modes, and more. It's a real awesome RC to look at, and the riding experience is one of a kind. Totally different than driving a car. And the Pro Moto MX costs $600. Out of over 75,000 different items on the site, there is one that received the most attention out of them all. And I swear we're not making this up. It's the 1979 Chevy K10 High Trail edition of the TRX4. There's just something about this truck that people needed to check out and take a closer look. Maybe it's the taller stance or those big old 2.2 tires and wheels. Maybe it's the beautiful K10 body and its scale details and lights. I don't know. But it's undeniable that this truck captures some sort of boyhood big truck fantasy for a lot of us. The body does come in red, blue, and orange, but overwhelmingly the interest is in the red body. Now these trucks cost $550, but perhaps that's a small price to pay to have the RC truck of your dreams. Guys, if you want more info on the stuff in this video, go check out our links down below. I'm Brett from AMain Hobbies. Thanks for watching.